Hey there, I just wanted to pop on here before we go any further with today's lesson to say two quick things. One, this lesson is designed for beginner drummers, so if you're a brand new drummer, this video is tailored for you. And if you're an intermediate or advanced player, most likely what's going to be covered in this video, as you may have already seen in the demonstrations, is kind of way below your skill level. Okay, the second thing I wanted to mention is for you beginner drummers. Before you go any further, I'd love you to hit pause in a second and go to the description below this video. There's two links there. The first one is the drum transcription for each groove that I demonstrated in today's video. Download it or print it out, use it to practice. That is the main thing. If you could take anything away from today, grab that PDF because it's designed to help you practice. More than anything you'll get in this video, having those grooves written down is a tremendous way to practice. And then the second thing for you younger drummers, your new drummers, there's a second link in there. So if you've never read rhythm or drumming notation before, I have a PDF down there specifically to help you learn how to read the drum charts. So you can grab that as well. Download it, print it out, whatever you want. But please, before you go any further, hit the pause button and grab those two links below. All right. Otherwise, let's keep going with the lesson. Cross-stick drumming, cross-stick technique. Basically, what our snare drum is doing in today's lesson is totally different. So typically in all of our grooves that we've been learning in this beginner series, we've been just hitting the snare drum regular, meaning like with a regular grip, traditional, or if you're a traditional player or a matched grip player like myself, we're just hitting the snare regular. But as you saw in the two grooves that I played just a few moments ago, I was doing a different technique. That's called the cross stick. It kind of gives this almost like very woody, kind of like high-pitched sound. And it is used in basically every genre of music. So this is a really important tool to have in your toolbox as a drummer. Now there's a couple of different ways drummers will maybe hold the stick. As you may have saw in the demonstration, I was laying my hand across the snare drum. So on the head, the drum head that you hit, the battered side drum head, I'm actually laying my hand and the stick across the drum. I personally just like to pinch the stick with my index finger and my thumb, and then I rest these other three fingers on the snare. Just on the snare, I rest, and then I'm pivoting with my wrist and the end of the stick. So I'm pivoting up. I'm not lifting my hand and lifting the stick and lifting my palm up off the drum. I'm keeping like kind of right here and this part of the stick on the drum, and I'm just pivoting. And where the sound is occurring is the end of the stick, the end of my drumstick, hitting the rim, the metal part of my snare drum. And that's what you want to do as well. Now, some people, you'll notice I'm holding the stick kind of backwards. That's the easiest way to develop the sound, to kind of figure out the sound, to understand what kind of sound you're going for. If you strike the rim of the drum too close to the end of the stick, you're going to get thin kind of sound. Same thing if you go too high up on the stick. Like if you have, if your rim is hitting here, like halfway on the stick, it's going to sound really, really thin. You're looking for that sweet spot, and it's kind of in this area, but every stick is a little different, so you want to play with yours. The reason I flipped it over is having like the thickness, a really steady thickness to the drumstick. My teachers, when I was a young drummer, my teachers showed me this, and it made it a lot easier for me to learn what sounds correct and what sounds incorrect. So I would recommend, as you new beginners, you do the same thing. Typically when we're playing our snare drum, or any drum for that matter, we're holding our sticks like this. But for the cross stick, I recommend you flip it over and you get that little, whatever grip it is, and you're getting the clicking sound. You're going to look for, where does it sound the best? You're looking for kind of like this full sound, and you can reference the demonstration at the beginning of this video that you already watched. You can go back to it and check it out. You could also find songs that you really like, or performances of other drummers who are playing acrostic. If you see it on YouTube or wherever you're watching your drum videos, you know, you could listen to their sound and see, does the sound you're getting match them or closely match them. The other thing is, some drummers will not want to flip the stick. As you become a better and better drummer, you're still going to find that you can actually get that great sound without flipping the stick. But that requires a little bit more of a fine-tuned ear, so to speak, a little bit of ear training, because if you get the rim hit, the stick hitting the rim in this area, not going to sound good. Pretty much on any stick, you need that fatter part of the stick. So you're going to actually have your hand positioned in a slightly different area of the snare drum, laying across the snare drum. It's going to be closer to the rim of the drum where you're bending and snapping. But that comes with time, and I wouldn't recommend you start there. I would recommend you turn the stick kind of backwards and develop your sound that way. And there are some drummers, some professional drummers, who will always use this. It's not just a beginner thing by any stretch. You know, it is not just a beginner thing. So I just wanted to mention that. Now, going back to the grip really quick, I mentioned that I like to do this. There are other drummers who like to pinch with all of their sticks, with all of their fingers on the stick. And then the same rules apply. So let's say we're in the backwards position, right? They get all 4 of their fingers pinched, also with the thumb, and they're laying down on the snare, on the battered drum head, which is the battered side means that's the side you're hitting the drum with. They pivot with their wrist, the palm right here, and the tip of the stick being on the snare, and they pivot like that and then come slamming down. Remember, the main thing is you are not picking your whole hand and stick off the drum and slamming it down. No, not like that at all. Those are the 2 versions. I like just this and letting these 3 fingers relax. I find that it gives me less tension in my hand, in my wrists, in my fingers, in my arm. I'm always looking to play with as little tension as possible. So the cross stick, it's an amazing tool. It's an amazing sound. It really provides a really cool feel and texture within the groove that you're playing, maybe even a drum fill, but certainly an awesome texture and sound and feel in the songs that require it. And like I said, it is any genre of music. It truly doesn't matter. It's just everywhere. It is in everything, so I highly recommend you work on developing this. Now, the demonstration only had a couple of grooves, and any groove that you have learned in this beginner series, you can substitute the cross stick in and remove the snare drum notes. So wherever there's a snare drum note, just play a cross stick. If you're looking for more grooves to develop this sound with, I would recommend doing that. When you're practicing, start freestyle, just get comfortable with the technique, really train your ear to hear the sound, and then once you feel like you've got the hang of the position of where your hand should be, the grip in which you're holding the stick, then totally plug it in with the metronome. Start slow, and gradually work your way up. If you're new to the channel and this is your first time watching one of my videos, I recommend going by 3 beats per minute at a time. It kind of tricks our brain into not noticing the increase in tempo. I know we want to go fast right away with everything. You know, it's like very natural for us musicians. But sometimes when you do big jumps in speed, our brain recognizes it, and that's when you can get a little, you know, maybe nervous, or you start to have frustration, or you start to have doubt about your ability to play at that speed. I had a great teacher when I was younger who recommended small increases with the metronome. So 3 beats per minute at a time was like the sweet spot for me. And I was surprised at how quickly, within 1 practice session, I would jump 3 beats per minute at a time. So I just wanted to mention that. I always recommend any lesson we do here on the DrumShed, I always recommend practicing with the metronome. But first, you have to get the hang of it. So don't immediately force yourself to plug it into the metronome if you've never really done something like that before. So just take your time. If you have any questions, as always, drop a comment below. If you enjoyed this video, do all the YouTube-y things. As I always say, your engagement helps the channel grow and reach new young drummers or new drummers like yourself, especially those who don't have the means to take private lessons or music classes or anything like that. My hope is that these relatively short little demonstrational videos could be a helpful way, even just a small substitute for those people who can't have one-on-one in-person private lessons. So yeah, all the YouTube-y things, like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, all that good stuff. Anything you can do, I would be so grateful for. Thank you for watching this video, thank you for your time, and I hope you have a very blessed day.